Hey guys, and welcome back to the only series out there that combines the lore of Magic the Gathering with the physical cards you can win. I'm Simon, and this is Friday Night Lore. Welcome back to another episode of FNL, guys. Sorry for the lack of content recently, and I've been messing with the settings to get it just right. Overwatch also released this past week, and has completely become my new obsession. And actually, I have a question for you guys. Do you mind me sharing the channel with some Overwatch content, or do you think I should make a separate channel? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, this week's FNL, and most likely the rest up until the release of Eldritch Moon, will focus on topics from Magic's upcoming set, Eternal Masters. Since they officially ended the lore series for Shadows over Innistrad, Wizards will be giving us stories from older sets and older cards, so that means some pretty rare giveaways here on FNL. For this week's video, let's look at the lessons of the Prodigal Sorcerers. Our story begins out in the open ocean, a ship sailing a vast distance to the Spice Isles for trade. Yet, this vessel carries more than just herbs. There's a special partial on board, a man destined for greatness. His name is Kellen Bolt, Master Apprentice and Aspirant Elite, first son and heir to the Duchy of Kelch, schooled in the art by Archmage Gavos. And his destination isn't to circle some trade route. His goal is the famed Academy at Tolarian West, an institute of higher learning for all mages. It's the greatest collection of modern minds and knowledge on the plane, and Bolt have been accepted to join their ranks. As the ship travels, however, they run afoul of pirates, criminals seeking the treasures of the trade vessel. Cannonballs herald the coming fight. Blasts from the port side impact the hull with enough force to knock the men below deck out cold. The smaller trade ship has no appropriate defense. It was smaller, slower, and lacking guns to fight back. It was either surrender or sink, but sinking seemed to be more humane when dealing with pirates. Bolt had to do something. This was not where his journey ended. He knows his future, his destiny, and it's not rotting beneath the waves. He's spent countless hours of his life, nose deep in books, scrolls, and other collective knowledge. He's practiced magical words and phrases so he can recant them from memory. Now, it was time to show off what he was made of. As he looked across the water's surface, he saw the two pirate ships bombarding them with cannon fire. Bolt reached into his small leather satchel and looked for the appropriate scroll with the appropriate spell. Among the clutter, he found it. That, and a small idol he used as a conduit for the spell. Mages use these conduits all the time and help focus the magic. Think of it as like a wand or a staff. He set his mind apart from the chaos that surrounded him. The crew were dying off like flies. Even the captain had succumbed to the pirates' volley. But not Bolt. This was not his destiny. He chanted the words, read the scroll with ease, letting the magic build in the spell as he focused on the enemy ships in the distance. When the spell was finally ready, Bolt let loose a wave of distortion that traveled so elegantly across the ocean's surface. It crackled with energy and power. Yet, as it reached an area between the two ships, the spell fizzled, fading away. Again, cannon fire rang through Bolt's ears. For all his studying, scrolls, and knowledge, when it actually mattered, it accounted for almost nothing. If it ended here, it really would be for nothing. As the smoke settled from the most recent attack, a grizzled voice could be heard from below deck. It was the shipmage for the vessel, a man hired to magically repair sections of the boat as well as heal minor injuries. But from his voice and appearance, Bolt could have sworn he was something more. The man's name is Enthil. He was bloodied and bruised, but confidence could be heard in his voice, commands which carried more respect than a mere ship mage. He walked on deck with his hands outstretched, grasping at the waves as if he was holding his own child. And like a child, they obeyed. Enthil's spell was similar to Bolt's, but much more potent. He controlled the waves themselves, sending them crashing into the enemy's ships. The surf swelled and followed Enthil's hand movements. A wave peered up and slammed into one of the ships, causing it to veer into the path of its brother. The two pirate ships collided, entangling their decks and immobilizing them. Finally, the cannon stopped firing. Bolt turned to the grizzled old veteran, stunned at his magical prowess. But there was no time to ogle at the old man. The pirates would only be held off momentarily. They needed to fix their ship best they could and get out of there. But, as they looked around, they discovered that the rest of the crew were either missing or dead. Only the two mages remained. They set to work on repairing what parts of the ship they could. As a ship mage, Enthil was accustomed to repairing the wooden structures with magic. Bolt, on the other hand, was still new to the practice. Enthil set Bolt below deck to repair what holes he could, but his magic was flimsy. Here, knee-deep in seawater, the two mages started to really talk to one another, although Enthil suggested Bolt use a hammer and tar to make the repairs than his magic. Enthil figured the young mage was headed to Tolarian West, the prestigious school of mages. Bolt was a little shocked that this old ship mage had even heard of the academy, but Enthil didn't just know of it, he had graduated from it with top honors, something Bolt would never have guessed from just looking at the man. Enthil asked what he hoped to learn at the academy. From all his books and scrolls and long nights of study, Bolt replied with various schools of magic, but one in particular caught Enthil's ears: control. Bolt wanted to learn how to control magic, bend it to his will, as is the nature of all mages. But Enthil had learned a long time ago that control is actually an illusion. The old mage said that from a very young age, that's all he wanted to do: control the power. He had all the ambition, all the mastery needed to make his name known, but he had all that without having true wisdom. Here on the open ocean, Enthil had learned to put aside his thirst for power, to open himself up to mana and become a conduit, not a conductor. He let the spells flow through him, not from him. He learned that you can know the soul of something without possessing it. But his speech was interrupted. More pirates had come to feast on their dying ship. It was time to defend themselves once again. Enthil would provide the protections he could. He was still weak from the loss of blood and the energy expelled from his last spell. He focused again on the volley headed their way, and to the pirates' surprise, their cannonballs fell from the sky halfway towards their target. They had hit an invisible wall, a wall of Enthil's creation. It was Bolt's turn now. He was rested and ready. Again, he looked through his bag to find his spells and his trinket. Again, he said the words. Enthil corrected the boy. He needed to stop controlling the magic. Let it flow freely through him. See and don't speak. Don't command. Ask. The essence is already there, willing to help you. All you have to do is see it. But Bolt couldn't see it, and without his conduit, he couldn't cast the spell to save them. Another cannonball rocketed near their location on the deck. The impact caused Bolt to enter a panic, but in that panic, he saw what Enthil was referring to. The reflex was sudden and fierce, the reflex of someone scared for their life. A distorted energy erupted from Bolt's body and buried itself into the flagship of the pirate fleet, flipping it almost completely over. This display of power was enough to cause the others to rethink their engagement. Slowly, they began backing off. Bolt was in shock, not at his victory, but at the power he had just unleashed. With all his knowledge and books, nothing had taught him what this grizzled old mage had, that magic isn't meant to be controlled. But their problems weren't over yet. Enthil knew of the danger resting just over the horizon: the dire waves. This area of the ocean was a forbidden zone for sailors and pirates alike. The surf was unruly, the skies in a permanent state of darkness, and now with their ship lacking a functional rudder, Enthil and Bolt were headed right towards it. Their ship was reduced to basically a shell, staying afloat through sheer will more so than anything else. Crossing over into the dire waves would surely mean their doom. The waves were fierce, certainly living up to the area's title. More and more of the ship was being torn apart in the wake. The two mages were now holding on to whatever they could just to stay above water. Yet, as they sank, their feet found solid ground. Although it wasn't a reef or land, they weren't that lucky. A tentacle reached up and smashed the remaining hull of the ship. It was a Leviathan. They were standing atop a gigantic sea monster. This was it, the end, but Enthil seemed more at peace than ever. He sat there in silent chant, and Bolt searched for his spells. As he reached for his satchel, he found nothing. All his books and scrolls were ripped away in the wreckage. Yet still, Enthil seemed fine with their position. He whispered to seemingly no one. Enthil said, "There's always more to know." The old mage began to glow as the Leviathan raised them into the sky, mouth agape. As death appeared more assured, Bolt saw broken planks and pieces of cloth hover over the surf. Then, Bolt saw it, the essence of magic. Enthil smiled as he burst into glorious light, engulfing Bolt, the sea, and the monster itself. Bolt awoke on the deck of a ship, as if all of that was just a bad dream, but it wasn't a dream. His headache and injuries were proof of that. He looked over the edge to discover that he was actually flying in the air. He was atop of some skyship, soaring high above the dire waves and the Leviathan who threatened them just moments before. but Enthil was nowhere to be seen. His path was clear thanks to the sacrifice of this old mage, and in Bolt's view, he saw the shores of the Tolarian Academy. But the words of Enthil set heavy in Bolt's mind, and with control of the rudder, he turned it away from the Academy to let the winds take him where they pleased. He had let go the illusion of control. And that, guys, is the latest lore from Wizards' take on Eternal Masters. And in case you weren't aware, the story was based off the card Prodigal Sorcerer, but I don't really feel that's an appropriate card for an FNL giveaway. So rather, let's give away a mythic from SOI, shall we? So this week's FNL card giveaway is Sigarda, Heron's Grace. To enter for your chance to win this card, all you have to do is be a subscriber to the channel and leave a comment on this video. At the end of the week, I'll select a random comment and announce the winner at the end of next week's FNL. And speaking of that, let's unveil the winner of last week's FNL giveaway. I was giving away a copy of Archangel Avacyn, a very sought after card. And the winner of that card is K the Gamer. Congrats, and please contact me on the back end of my channel or send me a message via Twitter to claim your prize. Remember guys, if you haven't already, go follow me on Twitter. It's just the easiest way to contact me and claim your FNL prizes. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this week's FNL, guys. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and subbing to the channel. It goes a long way in supporting future content. You can also support this channel by becoming a patron on Patreon. Not only do you directly support my videos, but you'll also get entered into monthly giveaways for cards, fat packs, and booster boxes. So if that's interesting to you, go check out my Patreon link below. In any case, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.